Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. We're also on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. I'm also a podcasting coach because I've got 4 other podcasts. Before getting to the top 0.5%, you'll find everything on bio.link/podcasting. My guest today, even though she's American, she's living in beautiful Switzerland. And if you're on Spotify, you'll actually see that on the video as well. Please welcome Rebekah Jenkins.
Thank you.
So Rebekah is actually co-founder, CMO of TMN Global. But you might just kind of introduce yourself first to the listeners, and then we'll touch on the business.
Sure, absolutely. So, like Roy said, I am the head of marketing. I'm overseeing all of the marketing activities for the company, and I'm originally from Florida, sunny Florida to very snowy, cold European areas in South Germany and Switzerland. And a little bit about my background is I have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. And so my marketing mainly was done in the School of Hard Knocks. I did a lot of learning by doing, and I built a digital marketing company in Florida. And then I pivoted into blockchain technology because I really believe it's the future of where the world is going, really, in the innovations that's happening in Web3. And so I actually, a fun fact about me is I played tennis for over 20 years. I was a competitive national tennis player. And in 2018, I was America's #1 under-30 tennis coach.
I've seen that and very impressive.
So I definitely know what it takes to get to the top. And I think that athletics, my background in athletics, has really helped me a lot in business. It's a big change from being in sweatpants all day to now being in business clothes. But I think at the base, the foundation, it's the same ingredients, what it takes to find success. So that's me.
No, and I actually totally believe, because anyone I've seen that's actually brilliant in business that have done sports and they were very successful, it's just refocusing, so your energy, it's like, you can achieve, and you've just now, you've had to leave Florida, but you're putting your energy into this, and obviously it's going to be super successful.
I 100% agree, and it so far has worked out for me. So I have a good feeling about the years to come.
No, brilliant. So I suppose let's just talk on your own crypto journey first. That how the whole kind of thing came about with yourself.
Yeah, so I had this digital marketing company, or I still have the marketing company, and I really backed off from it. I let one of my siblings kind of take over as a partner, and it's kind of self-sufficient now. But when I went back in the day, when I was marketing and I was looking for clients with my marketing firm, I went to a convention in Las Vegas for gold. Actually, it was like gold and precious metals. And my parents dragged me there because they're really into investing in these gold and precious metals. And I didn't really have any interest in it, but I was like, oh, I could maybe find some customers at this convention for my marketing company. And so that's actually where I met Faridun Guven. And he's now my life partner and my business partner. And when we met, he couldn't speak any English and I couldn't speak any German. But we, through Google Translate, started communicating. And over the next 6 months, he invited me to come and start this journey of creating a blockchain company in Europe with him. So I was like, heck, screw it. I would love to go and move to Europe and, try something new. I'm in my 20s and, why not? And so I really I sold everything I had and I moved to Europe. And I started this journey of building this blockchain company with him. It was his idea to create, and I think we'll get into this later in the podcast today, but it was his idea to create this company where you're combining like old school methods of investing with new school ways of communication and selling and the blockchain technology. So it was really his idea. He's like the idea thought leader behind the project. And I came in more on the marketing side to help with everything from social media to graphic design to copywriting to branding to pretty much, I've touched every part of the marketing, and now I'm overseeing the whole marketing team here with TMN Global. But he really brought me into cryptocurrency. Also, I have to give credit to my dad, because in 2017 is when I first heard about Bitcoin, and he was really into Bitcoin and really into learning about cryptocurrencies. And so my dad actually helped me out a lot early on in my cryptocurrency career.
No, and I mean, the fact that you mentioned they were bringing you to precious metals, gold and silver, they were basically kind of gearing you up for your future, which is, you were very lucky in
nudging
that.
me nudging me in the direction of success to get involved. They're like, Rebekah, this is something that is really could be good for you in your future. And they were right, so.
No, brilliant, brilliant. So I suppose you might let people know. I mean, it's kind of combining both of what you've just said, but you might just let people know exactly what the company's doing.
Yeah, so TMN Global, Technology Metal Network Global, is a blockchain company. We're regulated in Zug, Switzerland, and if you know anything about Zug, Switzerland, it is well known as the new Silicon Valley. They call it Crypto Valley now, and it's also, you can see in my background here is the beautiful mountains of Switzerland, and it's a beautiful country, but it's also very, very crypto friendly and innovative, and really pushing for more innovation in the country. They're really pro blockchain and pro technology changes and innovations. And so the company itself, TMN Global, is combining technology metals and rare earth metals with blockchain technology. So physical, tangible assets with blockchain innovative, new, modern technology. So it's taking this old school world of tangible assets and investing with this new school world that we all, a lot of us younger people are really getting into, which is with cryptocurrency, and how easy it is to get involved in projects and invest nowadays with small amounts of money, not just millions and millions of dollars, but in small amounts, a couple $100s at a time. And so before this project, there was not an opportunity to invest in technology metals and rare earth metals. So this is something really, really innovative. We're the first and only blockchain company in the world offering access to these physical metals. And I can expand a little bit more about it if you would like, but that's kind of the general understanding.
No, and I think we'll definitely expand a bit more on it, but just like on some of the things that you said. So you mentioned the regulations. So I'd like to you might let me know about the regulation there, because I think with the FTX and everything, we realized that there's a bit of corrupt, especially in America, Gary Gensler, MIT, it's it ain't looking good. And I presume it mightn't have helped everybody that's in the crypto field as well when they see stuff that looked like totally orchestrated just to take money from the individual.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really happy that you brought that up, because not all regulation is created equal. So like FTX was regulated in the Bahamas, and a Bahamas regulation is much, much different than the strict regulation that we had to go through in Zug, Switzerland. It took us, for example, 10 months to get regulated, because they checked everything. They are so thorough. It's pretty much asking you what color your underwear is. And when's the last time you went to the bathroom? It's like they literally were like very intrusive, but it's important because you really do that background research and know who exactly you're dealing with, who you're allowing to run financial institutions in that country. And Switzerland, Zug, Switzerland has made a name for itself, Crypto Valley, because they do their due diligence the right way. And it goes to show our neighbors in Zug, Switzerland are Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Mitaco. Some of the biggest and best blockchain companies in the world are founded there. And a lot of people don't know that, but that's the truth. And if FTX was based in Zug, Switzerland, it would have been a whole, what happened with FTX, in my personal opinion, would never have happened if they were based in Zug, Switzerland, because it would have been a much, much deeper and better validity of like that country checking what's going on in the finance and accounting, and to prevent a lot of what happened with fraud and money laundering and whatever
To be,
went
I
on.
mean, I've seen so many different things, like they're basically a house of like, having an orgy in a house and they're raising millions and he's playing a computer game. And if you listen to the girl that he was with, just listen to her, she hadn't a clue, that. And it's like, nah, this is just the whole lot was orchestrated. You can just see that. But I mean, it's actually amazing that like Switzerland, which is, I mean, some people don't know, but basically when there's something going wrong, the population can actually vote on a referendum once they get something like, I don't know, is it 50,000 people or something like that? The rest of the world would actually love to have something like that. So the country does a lot of things that are right. And I believe they're actually heavily armed as well, the citizens, which, I know it's not like in America where it's actually dangerously armed. You'd never hear of anything going bad, but it's a country that I don't think many people are familiar with, but it kind of is like it's making headway, especially in the crypto field now, what you're saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Switzerland, as we all know, Switzerland's a neutral country, and there's a lot of benefits to being in Switzerland, as when it comes to finance and accounting. Because, for example, our business, here, we get audited every 6 months. We have someone from the government checking everything that we're doing every 6 months to make sure that we're not money laundering, that we're not bringing in criminals onto our platform. We actually have a very thorough KYC, know your customer, and we have to abide by anti-money laundering laws within our onboarding process. So a lot of people are a little bit frustrated with us that we have this KYC process, but there's a reason for that, because you don't want to onboard people who are going to corrupt your system, and you don't want to bring on those people into your community, because it's toxic. And of course, we don't want to support criminals out there with our business. So we want to have a clean business, and I think as a crypto investor, as someone watching this podcast or looking into getting into different crypto projects, you want to consider the source. So where is the company based? If it's based in Dubai, I know there's a lot of companies popping up from Dubai, but in Dubai you can open a company and they won't you don't have to pay taxes for 50 years. So what does that say about the country or that area? It's really great that they're pro, metaverse, and they're pro like technology, and they're pro cryptocurrency, but they're wanting fast money, and they're wanting to build fast, and they're not building a solid foundation where they're building credible companies, in my opinion. And that's really what separates Zug Switzerland from all these other guys from a lot of other parts of the world, like Dubai, like Bahamas, like some of these other countries, that they're regulated, but regulation doesn't mean the same there as where it does, in Switzerland.
And like the fact that it's actually regulated, that like I'm assuming it's totally different to say the ISO, because I remember when I was working in Ireland, you're basically paying the company to give it the ISO certification so that you actually look more professional and organized. But the reality is you're told they're coming in, and there's people putting files into the back of their cars and just having the systems in place, which when I saw that, I was like, this kind of defeats the purpose, because it's like if I get hit by a bus in the morning, it means the next person can come and take over and is all. But I think with something like that it's not an organization, let's get this certification. This is proper regulation.
Absolutely. We're regulated by VQF FINMA. So if you go to like the FINMA website, you can find our managing company's name is Aria World AG. So they're like the umbrella, and then TMN Global, TMNG is like our brand, our platform. And so Aria World AG, if you look up our name on the FINMA's website, you see it. Like you can find us on there. It's transparent. It's open. Anyone can look that up, and that's we boast that. Like we're happy to share everything with our community, because we want to remove all doubts that there would ever be something that would keep them from getting involved in our project. And I think that's us working with SumSub, us working with IBM as a service provider, us working with Mitaco, getting our smart contract certified by certic.io. We've taken these steps, we've paid the fees, to make sure that we're setting up everything in our foundation, that it's solid. because we're in this for the long term, and we believe blockchain technology is really something that we want to be in this industry for years and years and years, not just a couple months to make a quick buck and then rug pull or whatever. Like a lot of these companies are, they pop up. There's 23,000 cryptocurrencies on the market, but how do you know which one's a good one and which one's a bad one? It's really difficult as an investor in this industry.
No, absolutely. And one thing that I tell people is when you see somebody that actually they're showing themselves and they're showing their history. So not only you can see on your LinkedIn profile and your different, you're not hiding yourself. And it's the same with your co-founders, that it's like, it's all listed there. That's the difference between a lot of these companies, because you don't really see much about them. And once they do something like that, they can't appear again because there's a lot of people are out for them. Like, yeah. So I think just by even doing a small bit of research, because it's hard at times. I mean, there's so many different like that's why I actually set up this podcast, because I saw there was so much fraud in it. My other podcast is exposing fraud and corruption, but it's in all industries. And I knew this was so big that I didn't want to actually put it in because I might lose some of my customers, because a lot of people, they don't get the blockchain technology yet. But I mean, I actually think it's a saving grace because it's full traceability, and a lot of the corruption that's going on, eventually, I think we'll have political everything, contracts that's actually done with senates and everything. You'll be able to see everything. So there's nobody able to pretend, oh, it's the government or it's a certain division. You will actually have individuals that have either voted for something or done it. And I think, what you're doing is actually fantastic, because it's full traceability, and the fact that you're regulated, you're actually making sure all your ducks are lined up. So if we go on the precious metals, you might let me know what kind of precious metals, but like, are you doing gold and silver as well? Are you keeping away from them? Because they're the common ones that are kind of probably, I think there's some companies that are doing gold and silver, but with precious metals, I don't believe so.
So I think it's important to define some terms so that everyone understands what is precious metals. There's a difference between precious metals, technology metals, and rare earth metals. And what really sets our project apart is that we bring technology metals and rare earth metals. So precious metals is like your gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Those are ones that you can find on the London bullion, the fixing exchanges. You can actually find that and find active pricing every morning and afternoon. And those are prices that you can track. Now, technology metals and rare earth metals, you cannot so well track. There's not like a centralized exchange or system that you can go on and look at these prices. And in addition to that, you could find prices for technology metals and rare earth metals, but they may not be accurate, or they might be really expensive. And it's really hard to know, okay, are these quality industry standard metals or not? And so we actually are building the world's first wholesale pricing system where you can actually track the pricing for technology metals and rare earth metals. And technology metals are metals that are used in technology. It's pretty straightforward. So precious metals and rare earth metals could also be technology metals, just to be clear. But not all technology metals are precious metals or rare earth metals. Rare earth metals normally are strong magnets and are used mainly in green energy. So you've got praseodymium and neodymium and dysprosium. And without these rare earth metals, Tesla wouldn't exist. They wouldn't be able to build their hybrid cars and their engines without rare earth metals. And so that's really interesting. And I'll give you a couple examples. Technology metals are indium, gallium, germanium, hafnium. I could keep going, but germanium is used for high-speed internet. So fiber optic cables use germanium, and we wouldn't be able to have this live stream right now without germanium, which is really interesting. So there's a lot of metals that people have never heard about, because up until the early 2000s, they were unheard of. And so now, because there's so much innovation, there's so much demand for technology and new technologies, and we all have our mobile devices, we all have all of these new technologies we have just adapted and we use every day, and it's become normal. But up in the early 2000s, it wasn't so normal to have all of these things that we have today. And so for example, every 8 months, the fiber optic cables are being doubled worldwide. And so there's a huge demand on germanium because of that. And like hafnium is used for nuclear energy. I think it's like there's a statistic like 10% of the world's energy is now being used, being created by nuclear energy. And so hafnium is a pivotal metal and to be able to create nuclear energy. And so I could go on and on and on, but there's so many different
And what
applications.
about cobalt? Because I'm hearing a lot. Would but cobalt fall under that as well?
Cobalt, I don't think that's in our portfolio, so I'm not as knowledgeable about cobalt. But if cobalt's used in technology, then it would be considered a
Well,
technology
it's
metal.
used for the batteries in the electric cars, but the reason I'm bringing that one up, and I'm not sure about the other, is basically it's been exposed recently, like in the Congo, that there's like, yeah, there's young children or else young mothers with children on their backs just digging away at this. They're being abused for very tiny money. And I think the blockchain as well will kind of cut out a lot of this abuse, because you've got the middlemen making, billions, and they just have slaves at one side of the thing. So this kind of, is there anything with regulation and just what you're doing with how they're actually being mined in the different countries and the different metals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, because the business, because our one of our bonded warehouses that stores the technology metals and rare earth metals, a lot of the industry is in Germany, and so German standard is very, very high. They won't source from from mines that are not fair trade. So there's very, very high standards. There are, people in these other countries, it is the reality that a lot of companies don't handle it, the correct way. But according to German regulation, we cannot deal with those mines that are not treating their people, their workers properly. So there are standards, absolutely.
Okay. And I believe it's Frankfurt that they have the storage. Is it Frankfurt?
Yeah, in Frankfurt am Main, and there's actually a very strategic reason that it's in Frankfurt am Main, because it's right up the street from the big industry. So like Apple Germany, BMW, Mercedes, those are all buyers from us, from our partner company EMHAG, who we actually store these metals there. And so as soon as the companies need it to create their cars, to create their engines or their technology, whatever they need it for, they can buy directly from the company, and then that's handled all through EMHAG, our partner company, who is the market leader in Europe for commodity trading. So it's really strategically placed to make it convenient for those industry buyers to be able to get in and get those metals when they need them. And also that's something that's interesting for the client, because when you're investing like in gold and silver, and you bring that to your house, for example, you put it in your safe, and then you want to go and sell it at a later date, because now you created a profit and the price has increased over time. You have to go and physically find a buyer for your gold or your silver. But with our partner EMHAG, if you're buying the metals and storing them in the bonded warehouses, our company does all the work for you. We find the buyers for you, so you don't have to do that work to turn around and sell your metals, in 5 years or however long
Yeah,
you
so
want to
you
wait.
can do it as an investment, that you find a certain precious metal that you go, oh, I can see this going up to the roof. I want to hold this for 5 to 10 years. You can do that based in the kind of bonded warehouse, yeah?
Right. And it's actually better because they have it like air conditioned, and it's like it's secure, and you don't have to worry about like keeping it in your house, or like I don't know if you would want to keep like, because some of the metals are kind of dangerous,
Yeah.
like because they're like, some of the rare earth metals are heavy metal or had heavy magnets. So like I know the founder of EMHAG, he said that he was holding two of these magnets one time, and he almost lost like a piece of his thumb because it like snapped together. So I don't know if you'd want to keep some of the technology metals in your house, but I understand if you want to buy like precious metals and keep them in your house. I feel like that is something that's more common, but I think it's better to keep them in the bonded warehouses if you're going to invest in the technology metals or rare earth metals, because it's safer for you.
No, definitely. So the kind of $1 million question now, because we know this has happened through the years, the ages, where, basically say that gold, they pretend that there's so much gold, but they're selling it. So how do I know that it's actually really in the warehouse and it's not, they're basically selling multiplied by 100 or by 1,000, the exact same thing?
No, that's a really valid question. It's a really great question. The bonded warehouses are also audited um, every year. So they actually go in physically and weigh all the metals. And as an investor, you'll have access to the audit. So you'll actually, it's a third party auditing system. They go in, and that's a really huge uh, deal to go in and weigh like millions. I mean, there's like $300 million worth of metals in these warehouses. So it's like a lot of time, but they do it every year so that you can make sure that the metals are actually in there. And also as an investor, you will get a certificate of authenticity or ownership that it is that your metals that you bought are in there. We don't just divvy out like a piece of paper and be like, oh yeah, we bought this for you, and then nothing goes in the warehouses. But I know that happens with these companies, especially in the gold industry. It's really bad. They have a really bad reputation for like selling gold that's just not even there. And yeah, that's not the business we run. And also as an investor, you can go and physically go and look at you can schedule an appointment and go to the warehouse yourself and physically see your name on your metals that you bought, which is really cool. And we open the warehouses 4 times a year to do that. So you can check it, and you can go and physically see it with your own eyes.
And what way then, like say the person buys it, is it that with the spread, or if they're storing it, that there's a percentage fee yearly? How is it, or is it, do they wait till it's sold and they make their commission on the sale? What's the process for the payment?
Yeah, there is like a point, I think it's 0.03%. So like like out of $100, for example, or euros, you put in 97.90, it's 99, sorry, 99.97 goes in, and then it's like the fees are like that 3 cents out of what you're getting in. And so, and also with our technology metals and rare earth metals, you're buying 30% cheaper because we buy a wholesale price, and you get that discount when you're buying as well. So it's a really good deal, and the fees are like very minimal, very minimal, and it's not like you have to extra pay. It just comes off the top in your account. So
Okay. And that's the storage kind of, but like with the buying and selling, then that's, I presume, that's where you're making your money, or is it that you're buying it at a bulk discount and selling it on and you make your profit that way? What way are you actually making your business?
So with the blockchain company, we are there will be like fees involved, like buying and selling fees. And so those will be paid with TMNG, our token. So
Okay.
that's where the fees haven't been like set in stone yet. So we're not that far along. Like right now we're in the middle of our token sale, for example. And so later on, after we get listed on exchanges this year, we're in the process of building this TMN global online shop where you'll be able to see all of the metals, and you'll be able it's actually going to be like an exchange of metals. So the only token that we're accepting for these metals is native TMNG token, and it's based on the Ethereum blockchain. And yeah, there will be a fee that we'll take off the top for all of the transactions of buying and selling those, but that it's going to actually be an exchange that we are developing for the user. So that's really exciting.
Okay.
I
And
hope that answered your question.
yeah. And
Yeah, but
with
the fees aren't, we haven't established exactly what the fees are going to be yet, if that's what you're trying to get at.
yeah. And like normally with the tokens as well, I presume there's kind of like with the white paper, there's a percentage for kind of founders and developers and all that kind of thing. And you're releasing it slowly into the market as opposed to just dumping it all there. Yeah, would that be?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because it's important to have like a vesting schedule for founder tokens. So we have tokens like as the 6 founders, we have our own tokens. And then we also have like strategic partner tokens, like with our different marketing partners and service providers that we've also given tokens to. But those are locked away for 1 year. So they're locked away for 1 year, and it's not like after a year we can just dump on the community. No, it's like 10% after a year can be taken out. And to be honest, the project is so amazing. Like, I don't think any of the founders are going to
Yeah, because you
be
can see
like
it going
selling
like
after.
that. Yeah, it's like, why sell 10% when you can,
I'm
it'll
like,
probably be multiples
I
of 10.
yeah, personally, like I'm waiting till it gets to $100 a token before I sell. Because, I mean, if you believe in the project, you're gonna huddle. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it is. Like if you believe in Bitcoin and you believe that it's gonna hit, go to 100,000 or $200,000 a Bitcoin, then you're gonna huddle. Like you're gonna wait for that moment where and everyone else is selling and having, issues with waiting and having patience. If you're really a hardcore, believer and you really believe in a project, you're not going to sell. So that's how it is. So we actually have 270 million tokens in circulation. That'll be the start in the listing exchange. So right now we're selling our tokens out of those 270 million. We're selling our tokens, and we're also about to start an IEO with an exchange, which that'll if you want to go follow us on Telegram, you can get all the details of that. Yeah.
Okay. And with the Ethereum then, because I presume when you were starting this, there was the Ethereum with the gas fees, and then there was Ethereum 2.0. Did that make a big change here? Or was it a big advantage based on, some people watch the pennies?
Personally, I was really proud of Ethereum for making that change after being such a huge company. Like they didn't have to, but they chose to, and I feel like that shows the character behind the leaders in the Ethereum Foundation or the Ethereum decision makers. Because moving to Ethereum 2.0, where they're going from proof of work to proof of stake, I think that's something to really be proud of, because there's a lot of talk about environmental, how are we doing the best next possible decision to help our environment and to make sure that our businesses are supporting the ecosystem, the world ecosystem, not just economically, but the health of our ecosystem in the world. And I think that on a personal level, I was really proud of Ethereum moving to proof of stake. On a business level, it didn't really affect us at all. And I don't think it really did much with the gas fees. I know for us, we don't really have any issues as of right now. We have certain fail safes in place that won't allow the gas fees to go up the gas fees to go above a certain amount. And that's something that just to make sure that we are controlling that price, because in the past we know Ethereum gas fees have gotten out of control, and we just don't want to have that happen again. So but the change really didn't affect us
Okay.
much at
Okay.
all. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm not sure, because I looked at a lot of videos, different videos that you've done. I'm not sure, was it on Sam who actually introduced me to yourself or some other show? But you mentioned about like with the precious metals, it's like after a year that's tax free. Is that correct?
So in Germany, the metals are tax free after a year. And I think the question is, now there's a lot of different countries involved. And so I'm not sure from country to country what's the tax, what exactly the taxes. And I think that's something that we'll probably release like some kind of information, like from country to country, what's the tax situation. If you hold it for a year, naturally, I think in most countries the tax, if it's not tax free, it's going to be less tax if you hold it for a year. And I know in America that's how it is. It's not that it's tax free. Like I actually did I asked this question to my accountant and also to my dad in America, and it's not tax free, but it's tax less. It's less taxes you have to pay, and so I'm not sure if the tax free thing is Europe wide, but that's something that I think we'll be publishing. We'll let people know, like when we get closer to having the TMN Global Shop finished. I'm sure that's a question that's going to come up again. So we'll
And it's
have
a
like,
hard one actually, because there's so many different countries, but then you've got double taxation agreements, and it's like, yeah, you're okay if you're living here, but in the country next door, no, they don't have a double taxation agreement. And
yeah, and I almost think it's better if you ask your accountant or you ask your tax advisor to, what are the taxes you have to pay on taking profits with tangible assets like metals? Because I think that's something that everyone kind of needs to address themselves, just like everyone needs to ask their tax advisor, what are the taxes on buying and selling cryptocurrency in my country? That's also something that you need to check with your tax consultant or your accountant with. So we can provide as much information that we know. Like I know in Germany, after a year, it's tax-free. And I know in America,
Hence why you said you're living on kind of Germany, Switzerland.
Yeah. So, but that's not the case in every country. So, we can say what we know, but at the end of the day, when it comes to your taxes, you kind of have to do a little research on
And
your
you
own.
have to be careful as well, because you could give the information and the tax law changes in January, and then somebody is kind of trying to hold you
Exactly.
liable. Yeah. So you have to have
Yeah,
a disclaimer on that one.
so if you're listening to this podcast, I take it back. We're not going to publish a page, a cheat sheet. You just check on your own. Check on your own. I think it's probably the best way because that way you're covered, and because of the tax, just like regulation with cryptocurrency, it changes every month. Like every new month there's something new. So regardless of what I say, what the company says, always do your own research when it comes to your taxes. Ask a professional in that industry to make sure you're doing it the right way.
And even on that, because I've had loads of different companies over the years, and sometimes I'll go to the accountants, give them all the information. They tell me I have X tax bill, and I'd read a book on, in Ireland this happened. It was like Mazars, the guy that worked for revenue, and it was all the different things that you can actually do, and I ended up getting a rebate, and that was a big accounting firm that I was working with, and I've seen that a lot. So I think actually the individual, do as much research as you can, because you'll actually find different loopholes that they won't tell you. If you ask them to say, yeah, you can do that, but they unfortunately, and I've seen that in Poland and a few countries, it might be different in Switzerland, but they don't come out and go, do this, and you'll have a tiny tax. But I'm convinced they're getting kickbacks because they never seem to be actually doing that. So the individual should do their own research with a bit of backup from the accountant.
Yeah, I would probably recommend that's the best way to go about it, because it would be practically impossible for us to research every country's tax laws and then
Yeah,
and then give you
exactly.
like the right recommendation. All I know is because Germany is so close to, our business in Switzerland, that and one of our bonded warehouses is in Germany. We know that if it sits for a year, it becomes tax free. So if you're in Germany, you're good. Everybody
Well,
else, you need to check it out though.
or if you get a big amount, move to Germany till it's all done, then go
Right.
where you
Get
want
a
with.
German address. Get a German address.
So
Yeah.
I know you mentioned as well, but I don't know where you are on that. It's working on a crypto debit card. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes. Yeah. So the crypto debit cards, you'll be able to upload your cryptocurrency. And I believe it's not just our local TMNG tokens, but it's other cryptocurrencies as well. We've talked to Visa and MasterCard, and we don't have a contract yet with them that says this is our agreement. This is what we're doing. But our plan is that we'll be able to offer that after the listing on exchanges. So around the time where our team and global online shop is being built, we're also looking into offering these crypto debit cards as well. And that's going to be a great feature, because you'll be able to use that anywhere you would normally go do your shopping, and you can actually, it automatically converts the crypto into the native currency that you use. So if you're in Germany, it'll automatically convert it into euros. If you're in America, it'll automatically convert it to US dollars. And it's really great for people who travel a lot, because it's so annoying to be constantly getting different currencies and switching your currencies. And and to have a card that just does it for you is really
Yeah.
nice.
And
It's really
that's an
nice.
industry that is so corrupt. Like some people don't even realize, when you go to an airport, they're charging a 25% spread. That the commission that they're charging is 25. And people, I see them sometimes, and you're handing over thousands, and I just cringe as I pass. But I like Revolut is very good for that. It's like it gives you like if you pay to have the card, it's like the Forex rates. It's fantastic, and you don't need to be worrying about it. But one thing I've said it on a few with a few of my, I would love to see somebody create this outside the Visa and MasterCard, because when you're buying something, whether whether I don't use a credit card, but I mean, what they charge 3% normally, 2.5%, 3%. That's a huge amount that they're getting away with. And that's why they're advertising on UEFA and all these other things, because they have plenty of money to be spending. But it would be brilliant for the consumer that there was a system that was totally away from them, that we could, I mean, I don't mind if somebody's paying 0.1, or even, as you said, even earlier, you know, the 0.97, you know, that they get the little 0.03. That's perfect. That you have to accept that. But when they're taking 3%, it's kind of, you know that they're not looking after us.
Yeah, and it's really, really difficult. Like, Visa and MasterCard have these licensures to be able to offer, because they're regulated in all of these countries, and they have the capital to be able to do anything they want, pretty much. And so it's kind of like I'm not sure what the exact word, like an oligopoly or something, like not a
Yeah, I mean,
monopoly, but
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, they have
something
it sewn up,
similar.
like, so it's impossible to kind of get in there and compete with them.
It's really, really hard to get in there and compete. You have to have licenses out the wazoo, and it's really expensive. And so the benefit is that if you're working with Visa or MasterCard, you can quickly create a card that, because now they're becoming more friendly with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. You can get in, you can get a card quickly, but like the downside is that they're still probably going to be taking their fees off the top of that. Something that we are planning to do when the crypto cards come out, however we do it, we are going to also be giving back to our community 3%. So 3% of all of the transaction fees will go, a portion of that percentage will go towards the business, and then a portion of that will go towards the community. So we have like affiliate links, and so if you like referred someone to get a card, then you actually can get paid in Bitcoin when your friend uses your card. So kind of like, how Coinbase does, like, oh, refer a friend and then you guys get cryptocurrency or whatever. We have the same thing, that we have like an affiliate system where you refer a friend and then you get paid in Bitcoin, which is really cool, because if I referred someone to sign up for Visa or MasterCard, I'm not going to get anything for that. So at least with our system, if your friend is going and using their card, then you'll actually get paid from that directly into your account with Bitcoin. So, or I think it's with Bitcoin, or you have an option to get paid in USDT. But of course, that's like, a little ways off in the future. But it's something that I think will be really interesting for our community, because of course, if you want to be using your cards, and you want to be referring other people to use those cards, then you can get paid from that. And I think that's really attractive for a lot of like networking type people who are like, I'm going to get as many people as possible to sign up with TMNG, because I'm going to get paid. All those people who are doing their transactions, as opposed to like 100% of that going into TMN Global's pocket, which we could do that. We don't have to give back to our community. We're actually giving back, and we're growing the community. And I think that's our strategy for also just growing the brand.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And like I saw, and I presume it's with your own marketing background, you're getting ambassadors for actually the business, which is kind of like influencers. So you're kind of tapping into their audience, their followers, which is actually belonging. So you've got a few on board already, because you can see it on the website that they're showing. But I think that's a fantastic strategy as well for growing the brand.
Yeah, we have about 5 or 6 German-speaking ambassadors or crypto experts, and then we just signed on someone in America, our first English-speaking ambassador, and then now we're bringing on some more, I think, in the next month. And it's really a great marketing strategy, because they have these huge communities, and most of these, I think pretty much all of the ambassadors we have, they're like specifically in cryptocurrency. It's not just, just anybody from the influencer world that we're signing up, but people specifically in Web3 and blockchain and cryptocurrency. And so their followers are interested in our product. And that's a really fast way to expand our brand and get that brand exposure, and actually get a lot of people registering and buying our tokens. And so we are full steam ahead with marketing, and getting on podcasts, talking about the token, and doing press releases. We were just on Yahoo Finance a couple weeks ago, and we've been on Cointelegraph. and we're hoping to get on some other big name tier one press release publications. And yeah, we're in the thick of it. We're in the weeds right now. We're going for it.
Oh, brilliant. And I mean, one of the things as well, I mean, maybe for those listening, but you're very young and a female, and it's nice to see that instead of the same, a bunch of old cronies doing everything, it's lovely to see a female actually leading this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you bringing that up because, I work with only men, and I think like our team, we have like between like 15 to 30 guys that are doing all this work. We have our IT team in Turkey. We have, the guys here in the office. We have all of our different third-party service providers that are helping us. And it's like pretty much all the calls, it's like all men, and I'm like the only woman voice in the mix of it. And it's really, it's really fun because I think I bring a different perspective, and I bring the feminine perspective to the group. And I'm definitely very proud of myself because it can be very intimidating to work with so many guys because it's a guy's world and it's a man's business world. But I do feel very much a part of the team, and I think that in the future I would love to have some more females even join the team as we grow and as we go from startup to medium-sized corporation. I would love to see some more female voices and more females join the team. And also, like, on a personal note, I'm really even on my own social media, I'm doing a lot of encouraging and educating for females to learn about the industry, to get on and start educating themselves, not only about blockchain technology, but about finance in general, because I think a lot of women they think that it's like, only a guy's thing, it's not for women. And I think that my goal is to really change the narrative. And now it's Women's History Month. We just started March, and International Women's Day is next Wednesday. And I would really like to see in the next coming years more women in the industry, because we're 50% of the population. So why not? Like, that's my take on it.
No, brilliant. And just finally, you might just kind of let us know where you're kind of going. What's the actual plan? Because I know you've been on stage as well. I've seen you on different events, and I love that as well. That you're not kind of hidden the thing. You're kind of leading it out there. Which is fantastic. So where are you kind of going? What's the whole plan? How can people help you? And then finally lead into kind of where they can find you as well.
Right. So I'll actually be in New York City for NFT NYC. I'll be speaking at that event in April 12th through the 14th. And so if you want to come to New York City, if you're going to be in the area in April, I'll be there. And we are talking about some other events as a company. We're going to be probably going to and being represented at. But I think like the vision of the company is that we want to sell out this token sale. We want to get through this and get listed on exchanges. And then in the future, we want to create a stable coin that's backed by these technology metals that I talked about in this podcast. And I think that's like the long-term vision that we have for the future. Like I said, we're not in this for the next couple months or until the end of 2023. I want to be in this for years and years and years to come. And so, actually the very next event that we're having is in Zug, Switzerland, but it's sold out, so I can't invite anyone, unfortunately. It's in Zug, Switzerland. There's going to be like 300 people there, and it's together with our good friend Swiss Crypto J, who is one of our influencers and crypto experts. His agency is putting on an event for blockchain companies in Zug, Switzerland, where we're based as well. So it's really fitting, very, very good for us. And so we'll be there, and we have some other things popping up. But if you want to follow the journey and stay in touch with TMN Global or with me, you can find me on all social media platforms at Crypto Woman NFT. Like on every single platform, I'm Crypto Woman NFT, or on LinkedIn is just my name, Rebekah Jenkins. And or you could follow us on our social media for TMN Global. I know we're really active on Telegram, so like you'll get a lot of updates for the project on Telegram and on Twitter. TMN Global Official is our Twitter handle. And so, yeah, I would love to connect with anyone that's listening to this podcast. And yeah, it'd be great.
Okay, brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, Rebekah. So I'll make sure I'll put all the links both on the audio and the video.
Thank you so much, Roy, for having me on the show today. I appreciate it. It's been a good talk.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you. So that's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. As mentioned, we're on BitChute and YouTube, and you'll find my further podcasts along with the coaching bio.link/podcaster. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. Until next week, take care.